Hello, my name is Matthias and welcome to the FPL scope and my team selection video for Game Week 15. But before you look at what is going to happen with my team in Game Week 15, let's take a look back at what happened in Game Week 14. So in Game Week 14 I ended up with 52 points. Again, not the best week. I had a pretty template team, but the only template picks that I didn't have actually scored a lot of points. So the likes of Watkins, Trippier, Alvarez, all those guys scored a lot of points, apart from Areola, who just doesn't seem to score any points. So yeah, not the best week. A lot of people gained traction on me. I am now 61 points behind the top 10k, pretty far back from where I was previously. I was 48 points behind the top 10k before this game week, and I've also gotten a red arrow down to 387k. So 2 red arrows in a row, not the best for me. I'm sort of just like treading water, just having like a pretty template team and not doing so well either way. So that's probably the worst feeling for me, just having like a really boring team where I can't even get too excited about the people scoring, because like everyone has Salah, everyone has Son, everyone has Saka. Like none of my differential players actually scored. Medicash was benched, got 1 point. Pretty terrible. Darwin Nunez, 2 points. He's not that much of a differential anymore because most people sold Watkins. Luckily for me, a lot of people sold Watkins to get Darwin. I already had Darwin before the game week, but yeah. My one transfer was Diaby to Mbeumo, and Diaby was obviously not starting for Aston Villa, so that seemed like a good move at least, but it only gave me 1 point because Mbeumo was actually subbed off early and got only 1 assist against Luton at home, which is kind of less than what I expected at least. And Cole Palmer as well was also benched, so just a lot of bad rotation, a lot of bad results. Liverpool, I had triple Liverpool, had high hopes for them against Fulham, but only 1 assist for Salah, nothing for Darwin, and 1 assist for Chimikas. That was basically it in a 4-3 win. So yeah, just pretty disappointing game week all around. Even my goalkeeper Flecken conceded against Luton, which was just awful. So again, not the best game week, not a terrible game week either. It ended up being like a decent game week, at least with Son doing pretty well and Haaland not doing too much damage as my vice captain, because I did captain Salah this game week, and once again I lost 2 points from that because I did that in week 13 as well, where Salah got 2 points less than Haaland. So it's twice in a row now where Salah has scored less than Haaland and has lost me a couple points, but not too much at least. So yeah, not the worst. But Son and Saka I'm happy with, and Mbeumo I'm also pretty happy with going forward. I think he's going to be fine. I think Darwin as well is going to be pretty good. He's going to have 1 monster haul in the next 3 game weeks. Otherwise, I'm just going to sell him and never get him again, because Darwin is one of those guys who doesn't seem to work out when I have him in my team, I guess. But yeah, that's pretty much my score from Game Week 14. 854 points total, just inside the 400k. Not the best, but at the same time, I still have my wildcard left. I'm looking forward to that in Game Week 19. Also going to do some fun moves until then. So let's take a look at what my current plans are for Game Week 15 and my immediate moves. So what I'm thinking is just selling Flecken, because he's just been pretty awful for me throughout. I don't think Brentford are that good at keeping me clean sheet. Flecken has been not too good this season at all either. And now we have a really good opportunity with Dubravka being the starting goalkeeper for Newcastle for only 3.9 million. And I've seen online that there are some talks that maybe he's not going to be the first goalkeeper or the number 1 goalkeeper for Newcastle for that long, because it seems like David De Gea is apparently one player that Newcastle might be after. Aaron Ramsdale has been mentioned as someone that Newcastle might try to buy in January. But for me, with the wildcarding in Week 19, it's totally fine. Like Dubravka can play the next 4 games and then be dropped, and I'll be fine, because I just need him for the next 4 games practically, because I have a wildcarding in Week 19 where I can sell him, I can have him as my second goalkeeper, or I can keep him as my first goalkeeper if it seems like he's going to stay put as the number 1 goalkeeper option for Newcastle. So for me, it makes a lot of sense, I think, for a pretty easy transfer. Doesn't really worry me at all with Dubravka and his playing time, because I don't think there's any chance that they can sign De Gea and register him already. I think they have to wait for January for him to be registered. But if there is, if I haven't understood the rules correctly, and they can sign De Gea, and they will sign De Gea and play him straight away, then I have to look at some other transfers. But at the same time, I don't really have much time because it's a quick turnaround. When this video is posted, it's only a couple hours until the deadline, the Tuesday deadline. So if you haven't paid attention to that, make sure you pay attention and do some transfers before it's too late. But yeah, if for some reason it seems like Dubravka is not going to be the starting goalkeeper for Newcastle, then I'd have to look elsewhere. And my other transfer that I would potentially look at is Medicash to Zinchenko, because I really like Arsenal, double defense for Arsenal. I think they've been the best defense currently in the league. They do keep conceding stupid goals though, which is really annoying as someone with Gabriel in his team. But I do like Zinchenko going forward. I think they also have been unlucky to concede a couple of goals the last few game weeks as well, against Burnley, for example, and this past game week as well. They just seem to concede goals that they shouldn't really concede, but they are really good defensively, and Zinchenko is really good offensively as well. So that is a transfer that I'm tempted to do. But at the same time, I'm pretty happy with Chimikas, Gabriel, and Udogi going forward until game week 18, really, as my defenders. Kabore as a backup option if need be. And then I can save cash for game week 18, which is the blank game week for City and Brentford, where I'm going to bench Mbuemo and Haaland. Or no, I'm not going to bench, because I'm actually going to sell Haaland in that game week, because I have the wildcard the following game week. So I have a bit of an advantage there. But still, Matty Cash has a really good fixture there against Sheffield United at home. So kind of just want to keep Cash. I think it's going to be the starting fullback or right back for Aston Villa anyway. So I kind of just want to save him, have him benched until game week 18 where he plays Sheffield United. So I don't think it's that big of an issue for me to sell Cash straight away, because by the time game week 19 comes around, they actually have some good fixtures around that time. But I don't think Cash is that big of a worry to get out for me, and I don't think Dubravka is that big of a worry to get in for me. So most likely my one transfer is going to be Fleck into Dubravka. But other than that, my team is looking pretty good. Salah against Sheffield United I think makes the most sense as captain, even though I've captained him over Haaland the last two game weeks, and that has not worked out for me. But third time's the charm, I guess. And Sheffield United, you just have to back players against Sheffield United. Aston Villa away is a tough fixture, especially without Rodri. So Haaland is a decent captain's option, but I think Salah is pretty clearly the number one captain's option this week, as compared to especially last week, where it was more like a 50-50 decision for me. Son is in his own right a decent captain's option against West Ham. West Ham just keep conceding loads of goals, and Son keeps scoring loads of goals. So if you're really in the differential mood and you don't really like captaining Salah, because he's had back-to-back just assist games for Liverpool, even when they scored 4 goals, he only had an assist. If you really feel frisky, I think Son is a really decent differential captain's option if you want to go for something like that. But other than that, I think my team looks great. Liverpool, 3 players against Sheffield United away. Should hopefully result in some points. I hope Son and Udogi don't get many points against West Ham, because I'm a West Ham fan, so obviously I'd want them to blank. But I think they could potentially score a lot of points. Arsenal against Luton, another great fixture for them. Gabriel and Saka, really happy with them. That's also why I kind of want Zinchenko in my team. And Mbuemo against Brighton could easily score there. Palmer against Man United can easily score there. My whole team is pretty much really good, I think, in general. Even though this is the game week where most people have the away fixture, because my team tends to switch. Like 1 week I have all the home fixtures, and then the odd weeks I guess I have all away fixtures mostly in my team. But some pretty good away fixtures in this game week. So I quite like the look of my team. I also like the fact that if I do Fleck into Dubravka, I get 0.6 more, so I get even more in the bank, which means that I can potentially upgrade some other players. I kind of want to do some fun moves before the wildcard in game week 19, because I have the option to, for example, sell Saka for just 2 game weeks, because he has a couple of difficult-ish game weeks coming up, Saka. So I could sell him for 2 game weeks and get the money in to buy someone like Trippier, for example, for game week 18. I'm definitely going to do Haaland to Watkins in game week 18 for Watkins to play in Sheffield United at home. So I have a lot of good options, especially with the wildcard, and this is probably the part of the season where I can actually gain some ground. And I'm currently top 400k in the world. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with my team, but I'm not too happy about the last 2 game weeks and just getting red arrows. It's not the most fun, especially with such a template team. But either way, that is my team. Let's move on to the manager of the week, because I'm not going to do the podcast before the FPL Scope podcast. We usually do on or release it on Thursdays, but that would be too late for this upcoming game week. So the manager of the week will have to be in this team selection video. So let's take a look at what happened with the manager of the week in game week 14. And the manager of the week for game week 14 is Favor Oparaucha, if I pronounced that correctly. Probably didn't, but either way. This is actually someone who was in the league last season as well, when we were only just a couple people who had joined the FPL Scope Mini League. On the topic of that, if you want to be the manager of the week yourself, if you're watching this right now for the first time potentially, please subscribe as well, because I make more content like this. Hopefully you like it. But if you want to be the manager of the week, you just have to join the FPL Scope Mini League. The league code is V9JT0D. And if you have the highest point total in a single game week, then you get featured on either on the podcast or in this team selection video, like Favor has been in this one. And Manager of the Week this week with 84 points, a massive score. 3 Newcastle boys really helping with that score. Some really good scores across the board, but there are 2 things I just want to bring up as something that could have been done better, I guess. Firstly, the transfers made, you might be just as confused as I am. It's not a typo. This is actually the 2 transfers that Favor did this game week. So apparently Bowen to Kudus at first, and then for some reason Kudus to Mbeumo. I don't really understand this line of thinking. Maybe, I don't know, I think I read it correctly that it was Bowen to Kudus, not Kudus to Bowen. But either way, Bowen was like injured out for this game. He actually ended up playing, but he actually ended up blanking. And then Kudus actually scored the West Ham goal and got some bonus points as well. Ended up with 9 points, more than Mbeumo. So the second transfer of Kudus to Mbeumo just didn't really... I mean, it made sense to get Mbeumo because he was like the hot topic of the game week. But yeah, doing the Bowen to Kudus move first and then Bowen to Mbeumo, or Kudus to Mbeumo later didn't really make sense, especially seeing as Mbeumo was a good pick the whole week. So I don't know why they did the stopgap transfer of Kudus, which would have been a better transfer for this game week, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, that's the one thing. The other thing is on third bench, there's Charlie Taylor from Burnley with 10 points. He was a major reason why I got such a big, or not the biggest red arrow, but he's quite a big reason that I got a red arrow this week, because he got 10 points for several people who played him this week. They had to, because Cash was supposed to be on benched, and there were so many other options that didn't play and stuff. So Taylor was in a lot of people's teams this week, and sadly, as someone who hasn't used their wildcard yet, he's not part of my squad, so I didn't get any of those points. So yeah, pretty salty about that one. But same goes for Favor. Had Taylor as third bench, and to be honest, looking at the team, don't really begrudge that decision. I think all players starting, apart from Ariola, obviously, who can't switch out for Taylor, deserve to start over Taylor this game week. So yeah, I can't really fault it for that. Maybe Chimikas, but it was Fulham at home. Like, of course you have to play Chimikas in the match. Trippier and Lascelles. Maybe Lascelles against Man United. Maybe the double Newcastle defense was kind of too much, but at the same time, you back Newcastle defense rather than backing Burnley defense, so I don't really begrudge that decision. The transfer decision is kind of weird, but the benching decision of Taylor, not that weird, I think. By the way, really good score. 2 points for Ariola, 4 points for Chimikas, 12 points for Trippier, who just keeps destroying my rank. That's my biggest mistake this season, just not getting Trippier when Newcastle were having those easy fixtures earlier on in the season. Really annoyed that I didn't do that. Lascelles as well. Only Newcastle defender I've had so far this season is Botman, who I had for like 2 game weeks before he got injured. Really annoyed by that, and that's sort of why I want Dubravka into my team as well. Salah with 5 points as the vice captain, Son with 10 points, and Mbeumo with 5 points, Gordon with 10 points as well. Another huge score at home for Gordon, who's just been really good. But Gordon is a slight injured out now, which is kind of worrying for this manager, I guess. Holland captain with 14 points total, 7 times 2. Alvarez with 5 points with the assist, and then Watkins with 11 points. So I guess if this manager hadn't done the Bowen to Kudus transfer and then Kudus to Mbeumo, if they had just done Bowen to Mbeumo straight up, they probably would have been inclined to do Watkins to Darwin like a lot of other FPL managers did. So maybe in the end it actually gained rank, because Watkins did much better than Darwin. So maybe in the end the transfers actually worked out. But 84 points, really, really good. I think he has like 866 points in total, which is more than me. So congrats on a good season so far. Wildcard has been used in Game Week 8, but that doesn't really matter too much because this team is looking pretty good for the future as well. So yeah, I don't even actually have a slide for the plans for the next week. But I think the team is just looking pretty good in general. You can probably start with the same team. It just depends on the injury fitness of Gordon. Gordon has a pretty easy match, so I think Gordon should start over or ahead of Palmer. But if Gordon is a doubt to play, you just put Palmer into the starting lineup for Gordon. Potentially you can play both and bench Watkins against Man City, but then again, Man City play without Rodri, who's suspended. They also play at home. Aston Villa are really good at home, so I'm actually really looking forward to that Man City-Aston Villa game, or Aston Villa-Man City game, I should say. So I think that's going to be a really interesting game week, or match in the game week, to be fair as well. So those are the only plans for the future. No transfer plans really. Maybe do a goalkeeper transfer, but at the same time, you could potentially only do Ariola to Sanchez because you only have 0.4 in the bank. So that's not enough to get someone like Raya. That's like the other big deficit of this team, no Arsenal defenders, and sadly there's no like easy way of doing an Arsenal defender apart from selling Trippier. And if I had Trippier currently, I would not sell him because they have some really good fixtures coming up, especially going into Game Week 19. So yeah, Trippier I should keep. Lascelles for now until Botman is back should also be a keep. Chimikas should be a keep as well. Lamptey I guess could sell, but there are not that many good like super cheap defenders, so I wouldn't really bother with that transfer either. Could potentially sell Alvarez or Watkins. Maybe this upcoming week is better for Darwin. That could potentially be a transfer as well, but I think this team is looking pretty good for the future, so I wouldn't really do too much for next game week, apart from maybe a goalkeeper switch potentially. But Areola, whatever, goalkeeper switches are so boring and so, I don't know. I probably wouldn't do that either, even though I'm doing a goalkeeper switch myself, but it's basically to sort out that. I didn't mention that actually, but I have to sell Flecken because he blanks in Game Week 18 and I won't have a goalkeeper for Game Week 18, so that's why I have to do a goalkeeper transfer, and it makes sense with Dubravka now being available. But either way, this has been the Manager of the Week. Like I said, you can be the Manager of the Week if you join our mini league for the FPL Scope. The league code is V9JT0D again. So please join the league and try to become the Manager of the Week like Faber Uparaucha did. But let's move on to my proposed free hits draft for next game week. But before we do that, we have to look at another just terrible free hit from me. Like, I seem to be like the worst guy to trust with a free hit. So maybe this last section of the video you shouldn't really pay attention to, or maybe you should pay attention to this last section of the video just to make sure that you don't have these players, because I just seem to be jinxing players left and right with my free hit draft. So yeah, let's take a look at what happened in Game Week 14 with my free hit. So 38 points, even less than my own team, which was already not the best for this game week. Just a load of blanks in general. 9 million ranked for the game week, just awful. My favorite differentials all kind of failed. Saliba and Arsenal just conceded stupid goal for no reason. And Mbuemo actually got the assist, so he got 5 points. So that's a slight thumbs up, I guess, for Mbuemo. But we also expected more from Mbuemo against Luton. And then Isak blanked against Man United. I really liked Isak. I really liked Darwin as well as strikers this game week, but they ended up scoring just 2 points each, so not the best. In general, Flecken in goal, 2 points, conceded that stupid goal against Luton. Both Saliba and Gabriel conceded with Arsenal, so they didn't get many points. Chimikas conceded against Fulham as well, but at least he got an assist, so 4 points for him. Salah captain, 10 points, not the best captain either. And Mbuemo with 5 points, decent. I went with Doku as sort of a punt, but Man City, even though they scored 3 goals, Doku wasn't really involved, and he's injured now as well, so again, major jinx. Suchek had a goal disallowed, he only got 2 points, not the best there either. Darwin and Isak already mentioned, and Haaland with 7 points. As he did, or Haaland is in pretty much every squad, so don't really get any credit for his 7 points either. So just another atrocious free hit draft. But I'm gonna try to keep doing them, and maybe I'll turn around and be a better free hit manager eventually. Because so far in the last like 4 or 5 game weeks that I've done this, it's just been terrible. So use this as a guide for players not to bring in with this team that I'm going to propose to you next. Because this is my free hit draft for Game Week 15. It has a team value of 100.9, which should be achievable for most people watching this, but maybe you don't have enough money, but maybe that's a blessing in disguise, because yeah, I just keep jinxing these players. But either way, let's go through the team. In goal, I have actually Kelleher for Liverpool against Sheffield United away. I mean, this has to be a clean sheet for Kelleher, and Chimikas, who's also picked from Liverpool. And the reason that I haven't picked another attacker from Liverpool, because this is also a fantastic fixture for any Liverpool attackers, is the fact that I don't really know who's going to start this game. It feels like Darwin has a good chance of starting, but at the same time, he is also at risk for rotation here. Maybe Gakpo plays, maybe Darwin plays. We know Jota's not going to play because he's out. Maybe Diaz starts. Maybe Diaz is the one to go for, but I don't know. It's just tough to choose like a Liverpool attacker, so I'd rather double up on defense with Kelleher in goal and Chimikas in defense against Sheffield United away. Should be a really good fixture for them. Gabriel against Luton away. Surely Newcastle or Arsenal won't concede against Luton, so Gabriel sticking with them, hoping that he scores well. Pedro Porro, I think, is going to have a lot of chances to get forward and score against West Ham, either from set pieces or in open play. They also have decent-ish clean sheet potential, I guess, but West Ham do tend to score goals, and the London derbies tend to be goals from both sides. So yeah, but that's also part of the reason why I have Son, of course, in the team against West Ham at home. Makes sense for him, and it's partly because I want to jinx them both, but that's low key. But yeah, Salah again as captain. Like I said earlier, Sheffield United away, just easy captaincy choice. Saka as well, just have to have him. I really wanted to have Odegaard in this team as well, but I just didn't have enough money for that. So Saka against Luton as well. Foden against Brighton away, I think that's an interesting shout. Doku seems to be out, so Foden is just basically nailed in the team. He's actually looked pretty good lately as well, so I think Foden is a decent differential shout, but I'm going to propose a little variation of the free hit draft as well towards the end without Foden if Darwin starts. But yeah, Hwang Hee-chan as well, or Hee-chan Wang, whatever, however you want to say it. Burnley at home, I think it's a great fixture. Don't be fooled by the 5-0 result they had against Sheffield United, because that is against Sheffield United, which is a terrible team. I think Hwang is a really decent option. Wolves at home have been really good, and Hwang has scored a lot of goals this season, so I just really like him as a differential shout as well. And then in attack, I have Haaland against Aston Villa away. I think just Haaland is just like a nailed template pick for this, because he just keeps performing. It's too risky to go without Haaland on a free hit, regardless of the game week, I think. So Haaland is in the free hit team. And then Solanke against Crystal Palace away. Crystal Palace have looked sort of there for the taking the last few game weeks, conceded 3 goals against Everton of all teams not too long ago. And Solanke just looks really good, and Bournemouth look really good as well. So I really like Solanke, and I have Semenyo on the bench as well, just in case as well. They're on the bench. Also have Dubravka and Livramento on the bench. You could potentially start these Newcastle players, but Everton, like I mentioned, they did score a couple goals against Bournemouth. They have scored a couple goals lately as well. So yeah, I'm not too interested in Newcastle defenders, I guess, but it's still a decent game week fixture this game week, and it's also really cheap options in both Dubravka and Livramento. So yeah, I think they're decent on the bench. And then Semenyo, like I mentioned, and then Taylor just gets a nod, I guess, because yeah, he's really cheap. That's basically why I have him, but also because he got 10 points last game week, and people seem to be really happy with him in their squads. So why not have him at the end of your bench in the free hit team? So, but yeah, if there are indications that Darwin is going to start, I think Darwin has to be in this team, and the way to get him into the team is basically just downgrading Foden to just the cheapest midfielder you can get, someone like Shandon Baptiste, who actually came on and scored for Brentford this past game week. He's only 4.3, so Foden to Baptiste gives you enough money to go from Semenyo to Darwin. And obviously you have to remove one of the Liverpool players, because you can't have 4 Liverpool players, and that player would be Kelleher. Just remove Kelleher, get a cheap as possible goalkeeper, start Dubravka instead, and then have Darwin up front rather than Foden, and have Baptiste on the bench rather than Semenyo. And that's basically how you get Darwin into the team. So I think that team would be good, but at the same time, I'm not 100% sure about Darwin starting, and I know if I have him in my free hit team, he's definitely not going to start. So yeah, I went without, kind of cheated a bit there, but let's see how that works out. I have 6 of these 15 players myself, so hopefully they can perform, but we'll see. Solanke, Hwang, and Pedro Porro are basically my favorite differentials from each position, and yeah, because most of the other players are template picks basically. But yeah, that has been my free hit team. That has been or my free hit draft, I should say. I'm not going to use my free hit this game week, just for not future reference, just for clarity's sake, I guess. But yeah, if I was rating, this would be the team that I would choose and would probably fail with. So yeah, either way, that has been this whole video. Thank you for watching again. Good luck with your game week, and I'll see you around next time. Thank you and goodbye.